down to Cape Palmas, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia, for Liberia, Liberia, for Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday, from Monday to Sunday, it's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey, reliable information, history, ooh, talking about culture, yeah, politics, education, entertainment, yeah, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday. Focus on.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have a very interesting show for you. We will be analyzing some of the recent ongoings in our beloved nation, Liberia. With me, I have some very articulate and intelligent panel. Mr. J. Victor Nungwe, welcome.
What's up, Jimmy? How are you? And happy Sunday, happy first Sunday, happy 1st of June, happy first, I guess, new month, if I should say. And welcome to all. It's good to be here. Welcome to the audience as well. Please share the show.
All right. Yes, please, all of you, don't hesitate to share this show. We want to get the word out to as many of your coolies as possible. And Dr. Beatty, welcome to the show.
Yes, Mr. Eastman, nice to be here. Hi to my fellow panelists. Nice to see Mr. Tao back after running away for some time. Welcome, Mr. Tao.
Okay. And speaking of Mr. Tao, the distinguished Mr. Tao, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks to my fellow panelists and to our viewers. I'm glad to be here. The last couple of weeks, I traveled, so I did not run away. And I informed Mr. Gaiman when I was going. I think he passed that information on, but I'm glad to be back.
Okay, let's dig in the show right
Jimmy, sorry, I think Mr. Gonglo is in the back.
He was, but then he's not present.
Okay. All right. I just didn't know if you had seen him.
I've seen him, and I had added him, and then I believe, did something to remove himself. Okay. But as soon as he appears, I will bring him back on.
Got you.
As he heard that Mr. Tao was back, so he decided not to come back.
You see, he's not there, so he when he comes, he will appear. Okay, so let's. I think he's in. I can try to add him right now. Let's do that. As you see his screen, he's not in front of his screen, so they say he has removed himself from visual. You know, he's shut his camera off. So when he comes back, he will appear automatically. I'm leaving him on for the time being. Right. Okay, so let's dig right in. I said we had a very scary event this gone week, where the president's plane, upon arriving at RIA, the Robert International Airport, it had an incident where one of the landing gear burst, crashed, or faulted. And as you know, those are the two critical points on any flight is landing and taking off. So can you imagine on landing, upon landing, we have this sort of incident take place. It was a scary incident. The plane could not taxi to the gate. The people had to go out on the runway and disembark the passengers from there. Dr. Booty, what do you think? Was this a eye opener, or where do you think this indicates for us?
I think obviously we had the issue with the president as well, right? At the airport, and I think for years we've had issues at the airport where the generator is not on, so there's no light, so electricity, and planes have to go back to Sierra Leone. You know, people are afraid, and things like that, and nothing significant has been done in almost 2 years to address these issues. Because again, these are not the just real issues. We're talking about issues that happen under this government. I think for me, when and we were talking behind the scenes before coming on the show about Liberia and why some of the things that are happening, and the fact that people in the country are just plain evil, right? A lot of the people we call leaders who are supposed to be servants, right? So if you look at some of the great leaders we've had in the world, the likes of Martin Luther King Jr. and people like Nelson Mandela, these were servant leaders, right? And that's what a leader is supposed to be. You're supposed to come to serve the people. How can I give my talent to you to make you better as a group of people? However, we seem to have the opposite in our country. We've got a bunch of individuals who come in to enrich themselves and not just do that, but they can see, right? They can see the issues at RIA or any of the airports in Liberia. We saw the one the president and then he went away at the other time, Lofa County the other time. These things can be developed to meet the minimum standard. They choose not to do it, right? That's the evil we're talking about. When you can see, because it's for them, they're like, oh, well, they're not all using it all the time. Or, oh, when the president come in, the quorum will be on. So if no light there when Mr. Nangwe come in, Mr. Nangwe, who cares about Mr. Nangwe? But these are the people that you are leading. These are the people you should care more about, not yourself, right? As a leader, as a real leader, you care more about the well-being of your people. Many of the guys who fought for independence in Africa were willing to die so their people could come out of slavery. We're willing to die so that people come from under the thumb of colonialism, right? These leaders we have are not selfless in any way, shape, or form. They're very selfish. And the issues there is basically down to the fact that they don't care that it is the other people, the Liberian people, the ordinary people that are going to suffer. As long as it's not them, they're happy, to continue to go ahead and do the thing. It's worrying for us as Liberians because some of us try and go to Liberia often, and we have to use the airport. We don't have a choice. There's only one international airport. You can't say, that whole journey from Sierra Leone that some people do. I ain't got patience to do something like that, and it's probably going to cost too much time, given the time that some of us are in the country for. And it's going to get to a point where it's going to start scaring people away. But like Mr. Ali said the other time, I think invested in Malacca. So clearly that tells you the mindset of the people.
Well, Dr. Booty, I think that ship has already sailed. There's several airlines that don't go to Liberia now because of the conditions there. But let's welcome to our panel Professor Kelebo Gungu. Mr. Gungu, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Just for correction, I'm not a professor. I'm a teacher. I'm a poor teacher.
Didn't you teach LU and stuff?
Yeah, I taught at University of Liberia, Collington University, Methodist University, Stella Maris, Rowan University in New Jersey, Newman, Pennsylvania.
You're doing a very bad job proving you're not a professor.
So what constitutes, educate us, what constitutes a professor?
Well, it's a different style of debate we can have. A different university actually had different standard. I know when I was at Rowan University, my department chair used to write me Professor Gongo, and I was like, why is the chairman calling me professor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Anyway, welcome, and we're not going to give you a chance to breathe. we were just talking about the near miss chance of the president's plane when he, upon arrival at RIA, he the landing gear faulted, and that was a very dangerous close call, and the plane could not even reach the tarmac where he could disembark. They had to go and fetch him from the field. But there's a lot of hush hush surrounding this issue. There was word that even the press was told to curtail operations. They didn't. We have conflicting statements from the airport authority versus the LAA. What's your take on it, Mr. Gongo?
You know, here's what I would say. I actually watch different cut video here and there, some on Spoon, and some people share it. I watch different video, but you know what is so? I'm not shocked at what I saw or the approach of the government. This is the classic definition of how Liberian public servant behave. Something almost tragic happened to the nation. This is the property of the state. The president is the property of the state. That's why everything he does is paid for by the state. The state determines where it is safe for him to go, where it is not safe for him to go. The state security determined that he doesn't even have his own choice in going in certain areas because it's a property of the state. It's an embodiment of the state.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that there will happen that we've not seen a full detail from even the airport authority as to what happened. RI actually issued two different press statements. You know, one putting the blame on the wrong way, another putting the blame on something else. Two different statements came from RI.
Yeah.
Why are they hiding the information to say the truth? Isn't it a golden moment for President Boakai to step up, saying he has not even had press conference for more than 188 days or whatever days, to step up and say to the nation, I thank God for saving my life and the folks that travel with me. This was a moment that the nation got saved from disaster. And the president should even take that and just speak to the nation. Even though that's not his area, he doesn't speak to the nation like George Weah, but he just come and do it. This is a perfect moment for him to redeem himself. You know, but I think when the nation is corrupt, like these are all part of the nature of the characteristic of corrupt nation, because we take our information by rumors, because our public officials don't issue public statement. So we go by the say. And in Liberia, we now have a culture we say facts come through rumors. Because our so the rumors are the foundation of our facts in Liberia. That's why I'll end on this. This is why I ask myself, when the Vice President Jeremiah Koung, out of the more than 5 million people in Liberia, continues to be accused, his hospital continues to be accused of harvesting human parts. Then all of a sudden, a fake doctor is discovered who was actually there. And it's the man is a good man, he's not involved. But why out of the 5 million Liberians, you are the only one that such allegation has ever come across? Out of the 73 lawmakers you are representing the senator, you are the only one in the House, in the legislature, that was ever accused, or your property, your premise was ever alleged of such a thing. Why? Because you're not saying the truth. We believe the rumors, and the facts come through rumors, and that's our culture, and it's true. I believe there's some truth to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're quite correct. Most corrupt nations besieged by disloyal acts are their lack of transparency. And the lack of transparency is evident in our dispensation. Dr. Should I say J. Victor Namwe? How do you read this situation?
Well, I mean, Jimmy, thank you again for the show. I agree with what most of my friends here have said. I think the airport, which really is one of the gateways to the country, continues to remain in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. If it is not lack of lighting, um, it's because of potholes. you know. But I think what is even more concerning is the inaction on the part of the president. I think that's what really, because I think it is clear now that our compatriots who are serving at the airport in the decision making at the airport, they're not making. I think they try. It's clear they're not making, and the president needs to see that. You know, it really baffles a lot of us why he will not, do the needful, like our people say. I think he's giving them enough benefit of the doubt. And somebody said to me, I guess thank God it happened to him personally, so that he will, he experienced firsthand, what is going wrong with the airport. Because this airport, ever since he came into office, it's almost every other month or so, there's something going wrong at the airport. He came out of the whole incident, spoke to the press, and he said nothing. He said nothing. He just got in his car and drove away. He has had enough time to reflect on it. He has read the press reports on that, from the local to the international press. He still has not brought himself to say or do anything. I agree with Mr. Gonglo. I probably should have, maybe he should have gone to church. Didn't he used to go to church when he returned from the country? I mean, he did that in the first couple of months. He would return and go straight to the church, and maybe he needed to do that. I hope he did that today.
Maybe he had to go to the bathroom first this time.
So I don't know what else any of us will add to this, Jimmy, that will make a difference. It's just a sad state of affairs of our country, and it makes you wonder, how culpable is the executive manager in all of this? Maybe there's something that we don't know that they know. Because why are they so helpless? Or why do they present themselves as being so helpless? This is a very simple matter. You entrusted the people with the airport, they're not performing, and yet, you continue to keep them there. It doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Yeah. Mr. Tao, Mr. Nambi just said, why are we so enfeebled, so weak, that we don't take a stance? And you coming from an engineering background, the details of performance for machinery, the requirements, and everything that has to go into it, especially for aircraft. Where's your stake on these happenings?
Okay, so in the first place, I really don't know what happened. I don't think any of us know. So, because the discussion is going on, and I'm wondering, was it that the airport had maybe a faulty light, a landing lights problem, or the navigational system not working, or was it the plane have engine problem? Is it tired? So we really don't know. Just like everybody said, there have been not a single statement. And I know my brother J.V. and I were very happy when Bouaka came to power, because for the first thing, he had press secretary, right? So he was like, you know what? I think now at least there is somebody designated to speak. So where is she? You see? So anytime the guy come with something that you're supposed to say, okay, this right here at least, and it doesn't work. Press secretary said nothing. The airport authority said nothing. Presidential affairs said nothing. Nobody. Just like that. But look, this is what I take from this. This is a sign, whatever the case may have been, that the president need to sit down at home. The country, because everybody jumped on when he was traveling all over the country, everything is wrong, and the man is always out of the country. Bouaka is doing the same thing. He's even doing worse. He's always out of the country at least every month. They said there was no money The private jets cost a lot of money. All these airport meetings, those stuff, most of them they're useless. So he need to stay at home. That is what this is telling him, and try to work and do something for the country to work.
Jimmy, I'm sorry, but I beg to differ with Joe. I think what he's proposing here is the equivalent of running away from the problem. You have a problem, you face it head on. Why is this? I mean, if he has to get out there and hustle, I think he should get out there and hustle. I think the problem is not that. I mean, yeah, of course, we are concerned about the amount of our resources that are being expended on these travels, but I think this is not an issue here. The question is the effective management of government institutions. We have an airport that is falling apart from all indications. So what are the presidents at home? You and I will travel. So what does that do to us?
But now with this is what I'm saying. I'm saying whatever the problem is with respect to this president, we don't know. But what I'm telling him is that, and the Liberian people should demand this, that he should stay at home. And this president been hustling. My brother, if you put together the hustle money that he has been spending, and what has he brought in? Nothing. I have personal friends that I grew up with that because I know this president family very well. Me and his children and some very close people. They're not working in the government, but guess what? They travel as first family so that they can get per diem. And this is not just one time. It's a regular stuff. So most of the travel, they're not using it for anything. So let him stay at home. Yeah, the airport need to be fixed. I will tell you something. I was flying into Liberia, and then the flight delayed, and so I went up to the people. I started to ask, and then I went to the pilot because I was sitting the wrong way, and he said, "Oh, the lighting system in Liberia is not working." Then out of a certain around 4 o'clock, they came together from the hotel, like around 3. So I went to the pilot. I walked into the car. I said, "Logo, we're not going nowhere. Have they fixed the light?" He said, "Yeah, we just got called from." I said, "You trust them?" And he started laughing, but it's stuff like that. I mean, a country, just one small airport. So it's the thing here. And my brother, the problem can be solved because nobody is responsible. I went over there and I stayed in Liberia for almost a whole year. This is some of my frustration that I bring on here, which is actual reality. Man, I went to very, very high places, airport, port, or PRC, all these places. None of the guys even doing the work. None of them, because there is no repercussion. Nothing hold them responsible. Generally, a whole bunch of them, they sit around, they talk on the phone, they go out to lunch, they talk big, they come back in. By the time it's like 3 something, they all end up at all the beer parlors they see along the area. And I'm asking one of them, I said, "Wait, you just got to work, it's Monday." He said, "My man, that what we do here." So from Monday to Monday, they on their way from work, they stop at all the places and drink. Nobody's responsible. Nobody's going to be penalized for anything. So nobody check on anybody. I dealt with people from the port. This guy knows nothing about shipping. He knows nothing about any kind of quality control. But he was a director of the port. This guy came from Philadelphia. Went in there, could not even do a single thing. And the moment his job was over, he back. So this is where some of my frustration comes from.
So are you suggesting people from Philadelphia don't know Pope?
No. That is not what I'm just saying.
I live in Philadelphia.
No, you know Pope.
But Mr. Tao, the way he said it, this man came from Philadelphia,
No, when I say he came from Philadelphia, no, I always hold us a diasporan responsible. That those of us that are going in there for us to work, let us work. We say we come from somewhere where we know how to do things. We say we have had better experience. We say we know how to lead. When we get there, let us set the example. I don't see it generally.
I totally agree with you on that one. We're fortunate. We in the basket of knowledge and skills and whatnot, and what we supposed to be bring to our people is this experience that will better their situation.
Yeah,
I totally agree, but why is it? Because the people who they allowing to get back, like this guy who was once was nominated to be lead the airport, he didn't have the requisite qualification. I don't know how he came on top of the list. Is it
political
because
favoritism? And that is a democracy that we are practicing. People are investors. People fund candidates. This is the thing I'm saying. The thing is, it's a business. People fund candidates. So once you fund this person, you have to be rewarded. We live in this country. How did Elon Musk end up as some kind of special advisor? He put up $300 million. $300 million. So when you have people funding the people that are supposed to represent you, whether representing the senators, the corruption starts right there. So we can't wait till that process passes and then they get in there. Then we expect, no, the people that fund them, that's the people they're obligated to, and not to the Liberian people. That's it.
But Gongo, this is a fundamental question. Do we have our politics backwards? Are we getting people to lead us simply because how much money is being doled out? There's no merit at all based in our politics?
Mr. Eastman, here's what I would say. And I always make this argument with friends when we are in small group. Liberia was on a path for, I would say, for a better constitutional democracy. In the 70s, when these activists, the progressives, were yearning for change, we were on that path, that gradual change. By 1983, had the coup not come, and Toba has said he was not going to contest in 1983. In fact, I believe Toba became a charter member of the Movement for Justice in Africa. And some of the TWP members who were open-minded, some of them John, Pa, Moja, they were opening up, like, hey, let's go for this. I think if we have continued on that path, that without that military intervention, probably would have had a constitutional democracy where merit system would be respected. But we have that military intervention, and everything started to decline. Then, of course, during the military regime, it was all about a mix of ethnicity and politics and what have you. And those are two dangerous mix in any situation. When you mix ethnicity and politics together, those are two negative, powerful forces. When they come together, it can be deadly for any nation, and this is what we went through. Then in the mix of these series of civil war, different, group, you didn't more one, you didn't more five, you didn't more this, or LPC that, then transition into governance kind of degraded. People would just get into government because faction brought them. And so you got this bloated civil service. And what happened? Maintain these people in this position. Of course, in the war year, people accumulated wealth unjustifiably. Then Ellen Johnson said she said, we're not going to fight corruption. I'm focused on this. The country is fragile. She were not fighting corruption. So money got in the hands of people, and our education system also declined. There's a whole batch of bad stuff that came together that got us to where we are now. Where we are now, I have argued that Liberia is experiencing two things simultaneously: state capture and elite capture.
What?
State capture, I will explain shortly. State capture is where business people, powerful business people, connive with government officials to control government decision. That's state capture. We are experiencing that. The jetty of the war in Liberia, the Port City, the floor tumor of Nimba, those are state capture. The floor tumor control Jeremiah Koung. Jeremiah Koung has investment, has share in his business. They get any electricity contract, they want to get it.
Okay? Excuse me 1 second. I'm sorry, guys. Something came up. I might come back, but I gotta go.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Take care.
So then elite capture, you have the likes of Prince Moi, Koung, Abochie, Thomas Fala. These are the elite state capture. They have captured the government. The other time I was watching Prince Moy in Bon Country, and he was saying, I work on a budget, I put that in the budget. I mean, he's talking about a national budget like that. Like he's talking about a shopping or a list for his house. Because somebody was telling this thing happened. He said, no, it happened. It's there. I put it there. You know, now watch the video. I just said to myself, these guys control the state. They are the elite in the government. So we are experiencing these two things simultaneously. It's dangerous for any nation. They have money. We have money in the hands of people who, I can say, without argument, these guys are going to control the politics of the state for a long time until something dramatic happens. You know,
state capture and what?
Elite capture.
Elite. You explain the elite capture also?
Yeah, elite capture is where the government people like Koung, Thomas Fala, and all these people.
Oh, all these ones.
So how government make decisions, how government spend money.
All right. Okay, Jenna, I think we've exhausted that topic. Let's get to the next topic. Since we were just talking about President Koung, he has come up with an idea for affirmative action for Liberian women. He feels Liberian women need to have more representation in the government, you know. And I mean, first of all, Dr. Booty, how do you look at that? That we should take affirmative action to have more women inclusive in running of our government?
And I think, obviously I'm on board with more women representation. I think they constitute about 50%, or if not more than 50% of the population. There are enough qualified and competent women in Liberia, and I think they should be given an opportunity or opportunities to participate in governance, because I think they bring fresh and new ideas to the way things should be done to benefit everyone. So, for example, when we look at the health sector in Liberia and how deplorable it is, women tend to be the ones that bear the most blunt of the ineffective health sector. They go there to give birth, they have children that they have to take in there, and they suffer a lot of medical issues that so having a woman, say for example, in a legislature, or women in the legislature, would lead to them being able to communicate more from a lived experience point of view, why we need to increase funding to health facilities in Liberia, to buy certain equipments, to make sure they provide certain services to cater to the needs of women. We've also seen, I think, in countries where, like Rwanda, for example, where women have been actively pushed to get involved more in governance decision making. We've seen positive outcomes for the society in general. So yes, I'm all for it. The mechanism, in terms of how we deliver it, I would probably propose one where political parties start by putting forward, so it can be more of an internal agreement within each political party to put forward maybe 30% of their candidates every election cycle as women. Then you give the Liberian people the opportunity to have options in terms of women on the ballot, right? I think in top government positions like ministers, deputy ministers, I think it will be good to have more women, and I think a conscious effort should be made to do that. Having said that, I think if we try to force feed this on the Liberian people, then we might have a lot of backlash, right? So we have to be very tactical in terms of how we do it. Basically, I think if we start from elected positions, where, say, if each party is putting out 10 candidates, at least three should be women. And that can be more of a, I think we start it more from a conversation, a gentleman's, an agreement between various parties. Look, this is a good thing that we should do to try and move the needle, right? Not by imposing it like, oh, there's a law that says every party must have 30%. No, I think have a discussion, talk about why it's needed, and then encourage parties to take it on board. And hopefully, the more women candidates that are on the ballot, the more likely we get more of them elected. Instead of saying, no, every party must have this number, I think people will oppose that a little bit.
Yeah, from President Kagame, he mentioned that having more women on in the legislature has had a positive effect. But Mr. Tahoe, you are a very system guided person. What do you think about affirmative action for women to increase their participation in the governing our country?
So in the first place, uh, this stuff about women holding certain percentage and all this stuff. Remember that this stuff did not even originate in Liberia. There's a USAID and European Union stuff. They wrote these things and they proposed it, and this is why I'm cautious about this. We live in the West, because this is an aspect of the feminist movement. And I'm going to come to Liberia, but we have to look. Look at the society here. The way in which they try to implement it is not to push for opportunities and a level playing field. It is to try to displace the men and to try to create tension of competition between male and female, thus displacing the men and then destroying the family structure. We see it everywhere here. We have to look within our society. How do men and women function with respect to leadership? We can't just take everything that they bring to us. So this was not anything that it was never a discussion. This is not about trying to say women are relegated to the background or anything, because we have to look at the genesis of how these things come about. The feminist movement in any form have nothing to do with us. Go back to feudal Europe and see how the feminism stuff started. When the women became property of the men. During the so-called Dark Ages and Ice Age, when every 5 female that they have, they kill 4 and they kept 1, to the point where they have more women than men. And I mean more men than women, because women were considered weak, that then one woman will get married to 10 men. And they started to practice polyandry, which is the opposite of polygamy, that then the women became property to where in the society where the last name that we have, that the women give me your last name, that's property. We don't have that problem. So I just want for me to clarify that now. Let's come here. How can we come in a position where somebody's supposed to get elected? That is a democratic process. That you just decide you're going to assign 30% to a certain group. How are you supposed to do that? So my brother, Dr. Booty said here, yeah, it's a very good idea that you can start from within the political parties, right? To say, hey, in your party here. But if there's supposed to be a majority, so what happens if you have 20 men in there and 5 women in that party? So you should go ahead and actually relegate the men to the background because you want to achieve this quota. So this is the thing here. Then what happens if Madingo people start coming forward and say, we too want for the third? So these are the kind of stuff that will create. This is what I would say. That the way we should look at it is that both male and female, if they're qualified and within their own party, because it's democracy, right? If they're able to vote and if they're able to put forth their message for them to rise to that level, just like if I went in there, I can say because I'm from Riverside or I'm from Basel or I'm from here, that other for certain I should. No, I will have to compete. That is the kind of stuff we have. If we start there, then what are we going to start doing? Doing rotational presidency? That next year, that the next presidency should go to the Southwest, this one should go. So that's the slippery slope that these things push. So for me, that is, yes, I know that women should be allowed. Yes, I know there's some aspect in our society where the men want to dominate everything. No, I don't agree with that. But we have to look and say, look, what do we see here? And how can we solve the problem? But other than to just start assigning percentages and stuff, even appointed position, how do you just come up and say people from the Southeast don't have jobs, they should be at least 20%? How do we come up with that? My thing here is that what we should be more concerned about, what we want for people to be represented on a broad basis, people that are qualified that want to hold this position, they're going to be able to move the country forward.
Very good. And welcome to the show, Anthony. Glad to have you. Anthony Gay. I don't know if we have him.
Thank you, Mr. Eastman. How you doing today?
Very good.
Gentlemen, how you guys doing? And
thanks for joining the show.
For
yeah, we were on the topic of women participation in.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Can you hear us?
I think I have to go out and come back. I'll come back in. I'm not hearing myself too.
All right. So I think we'll have to remove him temporarily. But I don't think you had a chance.
No, I'm done concluding.
Okay.
I say our goal should be,
right.
At least my interest is that people that come to this position, what is 100 female, I don't care. What is 10 people from Grand Croissant or Riverside, it really doesn't matter. Are these people capable of moving the country forward?
Can I just push back just 10 seconds on Mr. Tao? Mr. Tao, what you have to understand about the patriarchy and what we've had in our systems for years, is that yes, we have a democracy. Yes, we go to elections, but elections, that money can win elections. The people who have controlled the economic activities in the family structure for years have been men. The same way in the US, for example, white people have controlled economic activities and wealth generation for years to the disadvantage of Black people. Hence, they had to bring in affirmative action to try and balance it. We're not saying that it's perfect, right? To try and just balance it a little bit. It's what he's trying to propose. All I said was, look, don't force it down people's throat. Have a conversation about, look, a lot of women are qualified, but they will not get people voting for them because they ain't got money to buy paper rest and things like that. However, if you gave them 10 candidates and 6 of them, or let's say 3 of them are women, they will have to think about those women because they're on the ballot and they're supported by the machinery of the party, not just on their own because they don't have the financial will to do it, or they have no will, ability, because of all these structures from years of being dominated by the male gender.
You are right. And I agree with that. I said that I agree with that. But the thing here is that it shouldn't be done in a way where you try to want to create this stuff and then you create another problem by trying to disenfranchise other people to say, okay, look, my man, we need to have, because what the European Union proposed was that it's not at the party level. They say in our legislature, you should try to get at least 40%. And how are you going to do that? These are the kind of proposals that they are making. How are you going to do that? There's not even at the party level.
Calabo, we want you to weigh in on this. Do we see that more inclusiveness of women, more participation of women in our legislature beneficial? And if it is beneficial, how should we go about doing that? Or do we do
all right, thank you. I think on this topic, I don't consider myself to have much knowledge, but I think I do have good information on that. But first, let me begin with the vice president himself. It's always good to talk to this politician. He actually just exhibited a typical Liberian politician attitude, because a lot of them are liars. The vice president actually did engage in public lies and contradiction. In Nimba, where he comes from, and I also come from 2006 to 2011, there are 9 legislative seats in Nimba. There was one woman, and that woman is called Norkido. She lives in Minnesota. Her daughter used to be on the show with us called Family.
Yeah.
That is Norkido's daughter. That woman was the only female in the Nimba Legislative Caucus. Who took her out? Jeremiah Koung. In 2020, there was an election that Madam White was the only female candidate in that election. Koung was a sitting representative. There was popular call that do not participate. This woman is going to win. He said that democracy, that Queen contest to coaching. He said if that beauty pageant, I will not participate. If that beauty pageant will give it to her, but I will participate because of democracy. He went on with the help of George Weah, mandating the Elections Commission to declare him winner. He won the elections. In this gone by election, Madam Way was again the only female candidate. And Koung went to Nima and made it a business that if this one win, my hope of becoming president in 2029 is over. Because she'll overshadow me, she'll collaborate with George Weah or with somebody else. And I will not be president. So he spent every single thing that he could spend on against her. In her strong era, not in Koga's strong era, and declare support for Koga. That's the guy who say he's fighting for female participation. So let's declare him a diabolical liar, a pathological liar on this one. He doesn't mean a word that he said to the women. He just said it because he was in front of women. But the women need to look at his history. Like people say, when there is problem, look at it. They track the money. Where the money comes from, you know the source of the problem. In this one, to know whether Koung is serious, then look at his history, how he has fought women in his political career. That is his history. But now let me speak on this. I wanted to deal with him first, to assassinate him first, so people don't believe you and give him undue credit. Now I can express my opinion on this. In East Africa and Southern African countries, these countries, I will consider them, East and Southern African countries are more progressive in Africa. I mean, I don't know anybody can argue this. They are more progressive. That's why, in terms of development, in terms of many things, they are far ahead of West African countries in many ways. They pretty much have some degree of stability for some time on many fronts. Like, for example, in Kenya, not talking about female participation. When we were writing the new Kenyan constitution, they actually made a business that, because HIV/AIDS is a serious issue in Kenya. They said we can write laws, we can do all the things for people who are living with HIV/AIDS. So can we set aside a seat for people who suffer from AIDS so that they can have a representation in the parliament? That when there are issues on HIV/AIDS, we have a sufferer who can relate to that, to represent them, to talk. So those several debates are profit. So there are many ways you can achieve when you want to deal with marginalized group or group that you think are important and they are not on the table where issues that affect them are being discussed. On the question of women participation, the evidence in development study is very clear. If you look in Scandinavian country, in Europe, there is no debate about Scandinavian countries. They are far ahead. Sweden, they are far ahead in terms of development because they have the highest participation of women in their politics and governance than any developed countries. The Scandinavian country, anybody can check that out. If you come to Africa, Rwanda, in fact, Rwanda far exceeds any country in the world. I think they have either 64% or 62% of the parliamentarian women. And Paul Kagame has even stepped it up further by having most of his cabinet to be women. And the women serve on the budget and finance committee. They do well investing in health and issues that affect women and children, then men will allocate. Okay, I'm not saying women are not corrupt, but I think the evidence is clear when it comes to even mismanagement of public resources between men and women. Men tend to be on the negative side more than women. I mean, there are corrupt women too, but if you look at the average, women have the advantage in terms of, fairness and what have you. So actually in Liberia, Dr. Budi and Mr. Tao, there is actually a law. That forum that Jeremiah Koung spoke on was just maybe induction of the legislative political women forum or something like that. There's actually a law. The new revised election law of 2014. Go read it. It's there. Every political party is required. Initially, the law was written sharp to make it mandatory. But I think when you went to the legislature, so men, they water it down. they post some, weak expression there, because I mean, I followed this process. In fact, I participated in one of the workshops. It was there. Shall have 30% candidates. So the idea was they started, okay, let's start with the political parties and mandate them that if there are 73 legislative seats and 30 senators, representing up to altogether 103 seats, let's have 30% for each of the political parties to have, let them feed women. If they do that, there's a probability that some of the women will be strong, will be elected. In that case, we start to gradually increase the number of women. But because they didn't make it mandatory, it's voluntary, political parties are supposed to do it. So many political parties don't do it. And there is a reason for that, guys. If you can give me a few more minutes, at least I have experience working in government. Little experience I can share on this. There's a reason for that. When you work in government, when you are director, when you are assistant minister, deputy minister, when you minister, or managing director, assistant managing director, and whatever, you have access to speaking in front of the press, in front of the public, going in the radio station, in the studio, and explain something about your entity or something you're doing. So you get used to, you are media friendly. The phobia of speaking in front of the press goes away because you are practicing. Most women are not exposed to that because it starts with the executive. The executive has not put more women in the government, in the executive, right? They're not promoting more women to a position where they will be facing the press. So as a result, when it comes to election is about talking in front of people, asking them for that support. Most women don't have that skill, can't navigate well with that. But men do, because most men who go contest, they've been community leaders, they are president of different organizations, but more so they've been in public limelight from different ministries and public power status. So they get that experience, so they got that advantage, competitive advantage over women when you enter into election competition. And that is the situation in Liberia. How do you address it? For me, I think there are two ways I look at it. One of the ways, you can say, okay, we have 73 seats, but these 73 representative seats represent districts. So we're not going to touch it. The central seat represent counties. We're not going to touch it. But for now, we'll allocate 5 seats in the legislature. These 5 seats, or maybe 6 seats, 3 in the House of Representatives, 3 in the House of Senate. Only women will have competition that the women with the highest vote are the one who will be nominated, selected to go there. That's one way. Another way is, let's introduce proportional representation system, where if there are 20 political parties registered to participate, we see proportionally what percentage of the vote they get, and then we require them, when they're nominating their candidate, 30% or 20% or 10% should be women. In that case, they can also bypass that, because if you're going to nominate 5, you're based on your proportion of the total vote. If your seat, your legislative seat is going to be 5, we say 20% should be women, then you got your hand full. You must do it. So those are ways to do it. But no proportional representation system works with unicameral legislature, because we got bicameral, but there's still way to tweak it and say, okay, this is what we'll do. Okay. So that would be my thought about that. But the argument of women participation in politics, how it benefits country, there's no argument about that, because the statistic is very clear. Even in the United States and in Africa, women do 80% or more of their household chores, and they are involved in everything. All of us here in our home, imagine you and your wife come from work, tired. See what much she will do. She's there trying to find food for the kids. She's there trying to make sure laundry is done. She's trying to make sure things are organized in the room. You, the men, you are either sitting now flipping your television channel. They do more work and they are stronger. And I've argued, and I think with evidence, that women are stronger than men psychologically, mentally, and physically in many ways. But we just dominate the world. That's all.
Excellent. Well, I think we have beat that horse to a double. Well, we do want to see more women. How we will do it has always been the question. Now let's go to the next topic. The other day, the Liberian Council of Churches presented awards to Speaker Koung, and also we wanted to present a similar award to Fonati Kofa, which he declined to receive. And here, the next day or the day after, we find that Reverend Reeves, who was leading that council, was expelled from the council. Now that took a serious turn of events, For one minute you give in. Do you think his actions warranted an expulsion? Do you think that he acted alone without the consent of the council when they decided to give this award? Dr. Booty, your take.
Well, clearly there has to be a causal relationship there, right? Because basically it's given. Let me start with the award. I think nobody, on this show, for example, I've always said that the former Speaker Koung was doing the right thing by sticking up for the Constitution of Liberia and fighting to make sure that if he was going to be removed, it had
you
to
mean
be
Fonati Kofa.
Fonati,
Yeah.
sorry. Fonati,
Okay.
yeah. If he was going to be removed, that it would have been done legally. And he stuck to his guns. And in the end, even Koung had to accept that his initial election was illegitimate because he went and contested the second more legitimate, or the legitimate election, which implied that he understood, right? So, but even for Kofa, we all know that he's not someone who is morally upstanding, right? A lot of people have said a lot of things about him that most of us feel or have felt in the past that, look, he shouldn't even be in the legislature in the first place, not representing any group of people. So there is nobody in Liberia right now, in my opinion, this is my opinion, who warrants the appreciation, the honoring that the Council of Churches has put forward or did put forward. Nobody. There is no politician in Liberia, whether it be the opposition who is sitting there doing nothing and fiddling with their thumbs, whether it be the guys in the government enriching themselves to the detriment of the Liberian people, whether it be the criminals or whomever you want to call. There is no politician in Liberia right now that deserves to be honored by the Council of Churches, right? So that was wrong. It sends the wrong message. And again, we were talking about this, Mr. Eastman, behind the scenes before coming on board about this perceived, people say they're Christians and they've got faith, but they don't act it out. We're supposed to be a country of 80% Christians, but we're living like people who don't even know the God that we claim to be following, right? We're not acting, because Christianity is about being concerned and conscious of the feelings and of the ill treatment of other people. You cannot collect a group of individuals. Look, Mr. Eastman, look, when somebody collects, I was looking the other day, 8,000 United States dollars, right? He represents a district in Riverside County, right? A representative collects 8,000 in salary and then takes 2,300 for petrol, right? That's $10,000. You cannot tell me that his district people will be happy. If we did a research now, I'm a researcher. If we did a research in his district, say, would you prefer your representative to collect 2,000 and put the 8,000 in your district every month to put clinic here, to build your school, to do this, or you rather him take the 10,000 and put it let him take 1,000 and give it 9 so we can develop the district, because we're dying from curable illnesses here. We're starving to death. We're drinking water that's killing us. So 8,000 of that money will do better in the district than going in his pocket. The people will not say give it to him. They will not say that. They will. So these people do not warrant honoring. What is the honor? What are we honoring them for? Because when people talk about, like someone else will say, oh, the young people in Liberia need to stand up for themselves. They say, oh, y'all want to bring violence here or violence. But when you take 10,000 US dollars from your people and put it in your pocket, and then they die, someone's child who is supposed to go to eat will not even see their first birthday. The 8,000 children die every year without seeing their first birthday, right? That's violence against those people. We talk about the young girls in Liberia that these guys are abusing because they have a little bit of money. If they're stealing the money from government, they're stealing all the people they thought of in Liberia. That's violence because you're taking away those children's innocence. You're taking away their opportunities of becoming good wives and mothers and contributors to society because you're messing with them psychologically. Right? If you go 16, 17, 18-year-old girl sleeping with somebody who is 90 years old, what do you expect her to happen to her? She can never be productive in our country. We don't even have psychologists to treat these people, to deal with the issues and the traumas that they will have to live through. So how is the country going to get? And then you're a church. You're supposed to be morally upstanding. You're supposed to know right from, people can say all the things they want to say about him, right? But these are the times that some of us can miss Michael Pakala because these are the kind of things he was standing and start shouting about that, look, this is wrong. Because that is what the church is supposed to be doing. Telling the leaders in the country that what you're doing is unacceptable, not rewarding them for bad behavior. And that's what they did. And yes, if it led to his suspension, then that's the right thing. And not only that, the council of churches, if they want to clean up their reputation, should come out and say, we do not agree with this. In fact, we're taking all the certificate back from you because you guys are not doing anything worth honoring in our country.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it did revoke Koung's honorary certificate. They did revoke it.
They tried to move. At least we'll clap for them on that one there.
Dr. Dow, or should I say Mr. Dow?
Yeah. I agree with a lot of the things that Dr. Booty said. Because I was in Liberia and I stayed out there for a year and I did a lot of observation. I carried on a lot of observation. And just about everywhere I went, I saw a whole bunch of older men with very, very young girls. And these girls are not their wives. These are girls that are meeting them at lunch areas. I went everywhere to the point where,
is that the only research you're doing?
I said, no. I said to the point where I started to agitate at these restaurants and at these places. And to some, it was kind of embarrassing and it sounded crazy, but I'm like, why are all of you old men doing all these little girls? And I started to really raise that just about everywhere. And look, I have a soft spot for females. I would say here off the record or on the record because it's been recorded. I run a lot of scholarship programs, and just about all of them are female. And from grade school to a professional degree, I raise money myself. I put my own money in, and it's not that I don't care about the guys, because I'm saying this to make reference to something that Mr. Gonglo said, that in organization I ran that I own, whenever I hire females, especially if we have a clear-cut sense of direction, like to say, hey, this is the scope, you give them the vision. They're very, very productive. I hire guys, they can't keep still. I have to run them off. My friend was going through the same thing. After about almost 15 years of experience, I told him, look, you're wasting your time. Hire some females, and out of a certain, all his business took off. I get the guy.
Tower. Yeah. I will stop you there for a second. Let me just buttress you before my time. I had a local NGO. I was here. I established in 2004. I was then a graduate student, and I just part of what I did as my internship research, because I studied public health also. I said, okay, I'm going to go into community empowerment. Nakore Regional Center for Community Empowerment, RECE, that's the acronym. And I told one of my old classmates from LU, I said, hey, you're going to be the head. Let's work. That guy was eating my money. He didn't do a damn thing with it. I went back to Liberia. Then nothing has happened. I rented an office space. Then I hired 2 girls. And they came in, they started working. We're lucky we got a short project or 2 peace building project somewhere in Nima between the Crown and the Gio in area called Pabli area. And I think we got small money, the $20,000. Those folks implemented that little money they saved. Just my friend here wanted them to share it. Why you didn't know? One of the girls is actually my sister, but she carried her husband name. He didn't know that. So we got a project somewhere, and he went to her and said, look, that man working for government, let's share the money. And he is all working at finance ministry. He said, let's share it. He said, no, we can't do that. We have to build an organization. Listen, as I speak to you, that organization has raised more than $1 million in grants from different donors, ranging from European, American, locally, UN, UNDP, different. Just these 2 girls are running it. We are having up to 25 employees until, USAID, because we're having even project with US Forests. They hire us to do some reforestation in the Lango, in the Ikepa area, because there are a lot of deforestation there. And then that project, Donald Trump, we just lost it. That was about $48,000. We just lost that project. So I'm a living testimony on that. Today,
I don't know. What are you? That is the same thing that I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm saying.
I'm supporting you.
Buttress, you say you wanted to buttress.
I'm a living witness of the impact of women when they got clear vision. They work to succeed the men.
Yeah. So that's so. Thank you. I didn't get that you said buttress, so you said object. But so that is how. So I believe in that if you have a clear objectives and you place females in there, they are very productive. I have a whole bunch of females and males, some family members, some just people that will find, and they come in and they tell me, I want to do this, and we'll fund them to go to school or do anything. Guess what? Almost all the guys, almost all the young men are ready to croak you. But almost all the females that came, we went through the program, I funded them, they did exactly what they say they wanted to do. The problem that we're having now is that they all graduated, and now one guy completed the program. All of them, after we pay all kinds of money, they drop out because they think that the money is supposed to be given to them so that they can go look for a woman or go wear big shoes. All the females stay in the graduated. Some of them went to Stella Marie, some went to Mother Patton, some went to just different school. They were in like nursing and dentistry and lab tech and all of this stuff. But now no job. So the ones that graduated now, we are trying to put them through the state board so that they can take that. So I just want to make this here that I actually believe in working with women because I see the progress on what they can do if you give them a clear sense of direction. But look, when it comes to all of this stuff, when I go to Liberia, it really hurt that. And I tell someone, I say, you see these young women that you're talking to, if the economic situation was different, you can't even stand in front of them. You can't even stand in front of them. These are our beautiful young daughters and sisters that in the West, they are considered as models, perfect body. But you see they're being abused all over the place. People turn around, and one of my friends, and I said, when there is poverty and when there is difficulty, what happened to both male or female? They use what is available to them and what they're able to use. Men use force, which is robbery and violence and armed robbery and everything else. Women have their body. So both people in the same society are using where they think that their power is. Let us change the economic situation and you will see that our women, our young girls, they will operate completely differently. But in an era where this family structure are being subverted, where the kids are being sent out there to go take care of the parents at home, it's difficult for the parents to actually guide them. Because I had one situation like that where I had to say, you can't talk to your parents like that. And then the threat was, oh, I'll feed them. So you see that. But these are some of the things that happen. So if you see a guy sitting in it like that, the Buddha was saying, the people in Liberia, the population, the youth, there is nothing they can really do the kind of political system that you have. They are not the one that telling the representative to pay themselves 8,000 or 10,000, my brother. They set that salary. These are some of the stuff I'm saying here that have to change. We must do something for it to change. Guess what? Those systems that we have was imposed on us by force of armor. It was imposed by force. So sometimes it must be changed by force, by whatever means necessary. The state capture and the elite capture that my brother was talking about here, Gonglu, it's real. How are you going to change that? You're not going to change that through no election. Because everybody going to line up and they're going to come there. And you know, Dr. Buddhism on the story you mentioned about how the women are restricted. And I agree with you on that, like in the parties. The men are not going to allow that, all the people in the party, because why? That area is chopping spot. They're not going to sit back and put the women forward. Because all they see is chopping spot, because it's not about serving the people. Mm-hmm. So this is what we are caught up into. So then what do we do?
Mr. Tao, let me just clarify my point, because I think maybe you misunderstood my point. When I said about the young people, I wasn't talking about elections. My point I made was, when we say that the young people need to protest, right? They need to come out and look, protest works. We've seen it in Kenya, we've seen it in the Arab Spring, we've seen it in other places. When the young people step out and say, look, this thing is unacceptable. You collecting 10,000, you setting these high salaries for yourself is unacceptable. People say, oh, y'all want to promote violence. And I was basically saying, well, when they steal the money, and then young children die, that's violence, right?
That's true.
When they steal the money and then they abuse these young girls because they have the money, that's violence. So nobody can stand from and say, oh, when I tell a young person you go protest for your own right, then I won't promote violence. No. Protesting is basically demonstrating your constitutional right. That's not violence. And that's what I was trying to say. So maybe you didn't really understand yet what I was saying.
No. Okay, thanks for the clarification. But just one last thing before we move on.
Okay.
And it's not only that these guys get the salary, but they also, how did they come out? They hand in the development fund. How they will come up with a system like this?
Thank you.
Hand them development fund.
But they make a law, Mr. Tao.
Yeah, there you go. A cousin of mine, he came to me and he said, man, I need you to support me. Yeah, he was trying to run because Edwin Snow left from that district and he was going to bomb me. Because he came second to Snow. He said, now that Snow is not here, I can win this play, because he was very popular, helped people out for over like 30 years, made sure that he was in the hospital and treated people for free. They really. So I'm like, so I look at him and I'm like, my man, you can't even put your own pants on. What are you going to do in the like? He said, my man, if I win this stuff, we'll all be set. And I said, set how? And he said, that develop. So I said, okay. So is that content, that development fund, that is the one that you are looking for you to steal?
Yeah.
And I told him that. And I said, you have lost your mind. So you see, so they have all these financial things around this stuff that they will even kill each other for it. This thing needs to be removed. And that is a point that I made here when I started hearing how much work that how you call this guy, Musa Ability is doing, he building that. And I said, is that what we want our representatives to do? That is not what we hire them for. Because when you start pointing that out, they forget for them to build the institution, set the laws that allow things to channel through the right channel so that things can function without individuals, so that you can have a smooth running system. And then I was told, well, he built, no, whether he built something, that's fine. But we don't want to encourage that then, because tomorrow when Bwaka go ahead and make donation, Bwaka was not making donation before, but the moment he become president, Bwaka will take that, he have his own money now, he made donation. We are making donation all over the place. Since he left office, how much donation has he made? But he said it was his own money, goodwill. Now he's not in office. Where is the goodwill? So the people lie. They're using the country's money. We have to discourage this.
My man, when you bring up that development fund, first of all of you guys do research. You cannot, an individual cannot target, say, which project to do. You have to do the requisite research.
Yes.
And know which project. Why would you put that in the hands of one individual who doesn't have the capacity, knowledge, or skill set to decide which project to run?
Yep.
And it is, and we know very well what's going on. But here's what I don't understand. When they come up with, why were there no protests about this? They protest about all kinds of other things, but they don't protest.
Because Ellen was basically bribing them so that she could pass the bogus deal, bury all kinds of stuff.
No, but the other day they passed another one.
Yeah.
One more than that. What, 150,000 for senators, something like that?
Yep. And each time you look, the executive, the judiciary, they all have their own there. But nobody pointed out, only pointed legislature, but just like
that's the elite, that's the elite capture. That's the elite capture right there. Mr. Tao, that's the elite capture. The guys are sitting on our neck. They're not gonna move because of the money they get.
No, but Brother Gungo, why no one protests about these kind of things? But you will see them protesting about all kinds of.
I will say this.
Yeah.
I will say this. You know, psychologists say something that is really true. That when people hear something that is not true over and over, it enters their subconscious mind. They begin to think that it's true.
Yeah.
You know, and I think in the case of Liberia, let's look back to our history. When the settlers came, there were protests, resistance from the crew along the coastal area. They were resisting. I think it was the Basel group that didn't resist that much, but they were resisting along the coastal line. You know, I don't know about Ravaspo, I don't know about the Via people, but I know for the crew, the Grebo, there were massive protests. We read that in our history. But over time, in our political process, disagreement with the system or the power that became something, you can't even say something negative against Tonma. To even in the village, to just talk about Tonma in the negative sense, your parents will yell at you that why you talk like that. I remember coming out, I go bat my hair, my father will insist they have to cut Thomas star on our head. Everybody wanted to have that child to have the Thomas star. That's it. So our country gradually became a reactionary country, not a progressive group of people. So Liberians don't really fight. You see elements of Liberians trying to fight, but generally Liberians accept evil and they just live with it. That is really the characteristic here. The assessment of the society that will try to talk, but majority, 80% of Liberians just believe that they should just let it be like that. They don't want trouble. That's it. That's why evil trial in public service. This is why evil people succeed in Liberia. I can tell you that. Because, look, I worked for a human rights organization before coming to the US. And I sat with people. And I sat with different people who were in difficult situations and listened to them and took data from them for us to make our country report. And I know some people are even afraid to just talk about things that happened to them. I remember I was doing a report on Batrada or in Cameron side on the teller. And some of the veterans that escaped, that would try to rescue them, to link them with different human rights organizations abroad. They didn't want to even talk. Even though they were suffering with pains, we could see the scars from them, we took their picture, but they were even, okay, I can understand that because Taylor was in power, but nobody wants to really challenge the protest, to protest for many things. Look, for example, in Nema today, I'm not sure if some of you guys know about this fake Dr. Matthew George.
Yeah.
Was killing people for years in Liberia.
fake
was
credentials.
Jeremiah Koung Hospital in Ganta.
Yeah.
Look at the list of people who have come in a different number chat room and even on Facebook. We established a Facebook link. We said number victims of Dr. Matthew George. See people, the story they've come with. I talked to a lawyer, and there's a lawyer willing now to file a class action lawsuit against Jeremiah Koung Hospital, because when you take your person to the hospital, the person die, you still got to pay the hospital fee. They kill your person because there's a fake doctor that's killing people. Then you still pay the hospital bill before you take your body. So the hospital profited from this fake doctor. They made money. So the victim family need to file class action lawsuit to recoup the profit that the hospital made.
Yeah.
But guess what?
Right.
When I talk to some prominent, I don't want to be seen like
prominent members.
I don't want to be seen like I'm against this person. The guy saw be the presidential candidate. They call Jeremiah Koung. He's funny. They call it NEMA Project 2029. The Jeremiah Koung. There are t-shirts. They printed t-shirts. They have established chat room. I mean, this guy is so ambitious that under a president, he's already campaigning for 2029. So because of the widespread perception that he's going to be president, nobody wants to be seen going against him, because if you do that, then and I'm educating some of the very educated people, knowledgeable people more than me. I'm telling them it's not about him. He did not take a knife. He's not a doctor. But his hospital is facility, hire a man who turned out to be a fake doctor, and see the number of people that died. So these people are going after the hospital. Not him. His name will not be in the only name you mention, maybe because in a Koung hospital, the only country you mention, you see in the lawsuit. So it's not about him. But we need to sue the hospital for maybe $50 million because he killed a lot of people. Let the people, the family benefit. Even if the court will award the hospital to the victim's family to manage it or sell it and get the money, they should do it. But I'm shocked. Even though some of us not going to give up, we're going to keep pushing. Even if the 5 victims we're going to get, we already have a lawyer that is willing, and we're going to file our lawsuit.
But Gongo, let me ask you, man, because I know the people in them are a whole lot of intelligent. How none of y'all knew that guy he was not a doctor? How come nobody? I mean, how he flew under the radar?
I will say this because I'm a teacher. Teachers and doctors and lawyers are respected in developing countries and in Liberia for that matter. When I used to teach in LU, I was living on 12th Street, come from work, cook for myself. Saturday, I wash my own clothes. My neighbor, one fellow woman, she had 6 children. And one day, some people came to look for me. They didn't know my house. They said, we're looking for Gongo. See, and because I was, she was security man, that somebody who, my fellow woman. See, she started asking me, so how does he look like? Why are you looking for him for? I know somebody, but this time you can't just show somebody to people. Then the people say, oh, he's our teacher, he's teaching LU. So we came to look for him, So she showed them the place. They came. When they left, then she came to me and said, she brought her children. She said, I came to talk to you. I'm not happy with you. I said, why? See, you teaching LU. You here washing clothes. And I got these children, so be washing your clothes every Saturday. They all cut your grass. But so you're not treating me fair. I'm your own aunt. I said, no, I should be able to do this thing for myself. That's how we're teaching people to be independent. I shouldn't explore the case to work for me. And she says, no. From now on, you're not washing for yourself. My kids will be washing your clothes. So, doctor, you put that white thing on you, this, that. Nobody going to question you. Look, we have heard, when I work for a human rights group, I've heard so many stories of doctors basically even fingering girls in Liberia Once they get out there, they tell the guys to do anything in their office behind the curtain, they do it.
Wow.
Of course, because this it's not like the United States, developed country, where the children, even in school, you are taught procedure, this, that, so their minds are open. They go to doctor office. You can't just do anything to them. You're looking for a lawsuit, on yourself. Okay? So, I mean, that's a society. So that one, I can't blame. And for that matter, the man went and got legitimate license from the government to come there. Even though I've come to discover now, the way he got a license, it was not clear. He probably just printed it from World Trade Center, because he started practicing during the Ebola time when foreign doctors were just coming in the country, everybody declaring that the doctor, right? So when they started to do their database checking, according to Dr. Benito Andrew, I've spoken to him many times, they can't find any file on him. Nothing, zero. But he got lesson that he has displayed. So, how can the man got a license that is exactly the license we issue, but there's no file for him? Then they say, okay, bring the school you graduated from, bring this file, what you did your internship. Now, things started opening up. That's how they caught him. So he just told maybe one doctor license, look at it when, and they produced it exactly like that.
Right, reproduce. Well, here's the thing, Rigongo. Is he in jail now?
That's the interesting part.
You see, if he was in jail now, then we'll
No. Yeah, what happened? And corruption. The guy was working because of the different people were talking, the politics of the fake doctor linked to the vice president hospital. Then in Bapulu County, the senators from Bapulu County were advocating. Look, Mr. Isma, I will share document with you after the show. You read it, even from the executive mansion, where they were pressurizing the Liberian Medical and Dental Council not to revoke a man's license. Letter written by directive of the president.
On what grounds?
Politics. Because,
Mr. Isma, that other question you asked, I say, you see, there's no ground. There is no ground. The man is not a doctor, so there's no ground apart from corruption that Mr. Koung was saying.
Yeah. So what I'm telling you is, they issued this report. The Minister of Justice, because I have followed this, I sent somebody to the Minister of Justice office. The person asked him, or lawyer asked him, on the issue of the fake doctor, they want to find out from the Minister of Justice himself whether the man has been arrested. The minister said they have no case like that. So, then the guy, so I said, boy, you should have just asked the minister if there is a crime, a commission of crime in the country of this proportion, will the Minister of Justice or the Police Inspector General now move to arrest that person? They'll be waiting for a formal complaint from somebody. The guy is in Berkshire yet. He left the country through RIA, not through porous border, through RIA.
But I mean, he's traveling money on anybody, he gone. But you see, this is.
But the man wrote, you didn't read the letter? He wrote on his Facebook page that he shall be back. Because you're waiting for Koung to be president, then you'll come back.
This exposes a deeper problem. The same thing with Wamadiki, the guy who was nominated by the CDC government to be, I don't know, some type of
election commission.
Election commission. Before it was exposed that he had fake citizenship, but there was no arrest. There was no arrest made.
So he was already serving on LACC or something like that anyway. So
exactly. He already had a top law legal position.
Yeah.
This is my theory, gentlemen. we allow this because we're trying to empathize or sympathize, whatever it is, with people. You say, man, that's just no. We have to bring down the law on people who do things wrong, regardless of your relation, regardless of if you know them. If we don't start doing that, we'll continue to have these shysters, imposters, fraudulently carry on business in Liberia and with impunity, because we don't want to tell our friends, say, my man, or if you know something, say, my man, you can't do that thing. So what do you mean? So no, I know you, my man, you cannot do it. If you do, I'll expose you. We don't have that gumption to be able to tell somebody frankly that this thing is wrong, and I will not back you. I will expose you. And we allow it to happen in our midst. It's like a cancer. It will eventually eat us up.
But look, to a point from what was just explained here, then I would want to speculate that the vice president had to know about it. Because the very vice president, who himself, if something like this happened, and if he's supposed to actually push that, not even from just police, but from his hospital, from a business standpoint, he's supposed to make statements. But you see, so the fact that there is pressure coming from directly from the executive mansion. So you see that. But this is what we have. So it is the big man syndrome, right? That everybody is some kind of big man.
Elite capture.
Yes.
Yeah, Gongo. Elite capture.
Elite capture.
Yeah. And they all walk around that they have this power. But before their counterpart, they're just errand boys and girls.
Yeah.
When the Chinese come and say, go and do that, you see them running when the Americans come, when the British come. But when they come to their own people, they want to demonstrate this stuff that they have this power that doesn't even exist. So look, something have to change in our country. And it is not going to change through no 2029 or 2026. No. They got to be removed by force. It doesn't matter whether it is demonstration, the way it shut everything down to their forced out, but the system that we have need to change. Because if you want to change the law, guess what? You have to ask the same criminals.
You got to go to the house.
To write the law and then write it. It's not going to work.
It's not going to work. They can put themselves out of business.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many elections you have, my brother. It would not work. Okay? It would not work. So we are in a position we have to make a drastic decision as Liberians.
But Mr. Tao, the question I ask people all of the time is, I'm saying to myself now, telling African leaders, listen, common sense. Africans don't care at this point how you came to power. During the Cold War, there was a difference. And I tell my friends, the military in Africa during the Cold War was a different military. Was not that much educated compared to the military today. In all the African countries, there are people in the military with PhD. Even in Liberia, in the Liberian military, I know people with master's degree. And I know officers, some of them were my comrades in SUP, who have bachelor degree in economics. Very militant guys that I know, they are in the Liberian military. Okay? So the military of Liberia today is not the military of pre-1980. No, it's a different military. Educated, smart guys. They are the officers, they are there. Okay, I'm not suggesting a military coup here. But we should ask ourselves, why is it that Africans, black people all over the world, I was surprised how Jamaican, Trinidadian demonstrated when this American foolish black general made a threat on Traore.
Yes.
All they were demonstrating in the Caribbean. I was like, how this guy is popular. They are calling that actually he's a savior of the black race because he's standing up to the imperialist forces, right? So if this guy is loved by young people across Africa, then leaders should begin to think that African youth don't fear the military. They don't even fear they don't care about how you come to power. Be careful about what you do with power.
Excellent.
And in Liberia, when the group that tried to just even march for travel, they were arrested, they were stopped.
Because Liberia is a reactionary country. I'll tell you,
they were stopped.
Liberia is a reactionary country. In
watched
Ghana,
it
they
live.
allowed them to demonstrate.
Yep.
In Nigeria, they allowed them to demonstrate. In Liberia, it's nothing. A reactionary country.
Yep.
You
we
do
reactionary, but not for the right things. You know, we react for things that don't.
No, that's a code word Gonglo using when he say reactionary.
No. If you look at what we're talking about, right? So if you look at the fact that all other countries are allowing people to protest to make their feelings clear to the West that look, don't touch this guy, right? And our people, Liberian people, decide no, that is one we want to squash. Right? Instead of reacting against positive things, reacting against negative things, it's positive things that they want to react against to try and flex low muscle that they didn't even get.
Because we are sellouts. Let me tell you what our reactionary really means. Back in the day when the Cold War was hot, when they call you reactionary, just forget about it. You are sellout. We selling out. We just the other day, some kind of base supposed to be going on in Liberia soon. We sell out. We don't go. We're not. Then you see, you won't be on the Security Council, and you're a sellout. I don't get it, But this is Liberia. This too is Liberia, as they say. Okay. On our last topic, gentlemen. Our last topic today is, we've been on the air for a while now, and but we can see some media people go from 50 views to 22,500 views in 1 week. What do you think? We're doing something wrong, or we need to bring some celebrities on, or what do you think?
You think Mr. Tyler is not a celebrity?
Who?
Oh, okay. That's our last topic.
The last topic.
Is a Tyler a celebrity? I thought he was a celebrity.
No, I'm not. I'm not, George. Where is
coming around the world for 2 weeks?
no, I did. But look, you can I go? This is what I see though. In with AI and a whole bunch of stuff, you can generate some numbers that the bots can create view. They can create those views. So we know that. I mean, I discussed that many times. I'm not saying that is what others may be doing, but that, like, if you watch the news or if you read the news, where they have comment section and you go in there, more than half of it is just AI that they generate, and they're actually functioning as actual, like they're counting almost like people, but they are not. They're just computer generated a response to, like, if you post something and they try to do so much to discredit it, or if it is something that a system support, they put a whole bunch of that out so that then they can sway persuasion of people and stuff like that. So those are common. But I don't think that should actually really be our concern. While we want to have a lot of views, but if we start to actually discuss, I believe that will come here and the discussion will have some merit. But I've been here for a year and a half, Jimmy. And all we do, we just talk. We talk, it's just a gossip. If we trying, what is it that we want to achieve? Let's just say, the whole FOL is very good now. It's a very good platform. Now, our show is focused, is our On Point. What is it that On Point is trying to achieve? Are we trying to help to come up with maybe ideas and policy positions that can move Liberia? Then let us have a point where, hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, let us have a point where at least let's establish some basis. Say, look, this is a fundamental problem here. And then we try to actually move this thing step by step so that if we look at everything that we discuss in these programs, everything is tied to one thing. We are using the wrong prescription. The prescription that we are using is wrong.
Okay. And
once we actually really agree, but for some reason there is this resistance, Whether we don't know yet which one we need to use, we need to first admit at least. Because we look at it, it's not working. It is not working. No matter how much we want to patch it up, it is not working.
Okay, that's an interesting thing. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So now once we establish that, then now then when you look at the overall picture, you will see that everything that we see to be problems, these are just symptoms, these are just branches of the root cause. So we can now relate to everything here. So then if we try to now see how we can change the root cause, how we can influence it, how we can move it, let the discussion start moving towards some kind of solution, some kind of actual suggestion, instead of we come here one day that, oh, Erin Snow over there, we're calling them honorable, like Dr. Booty said here. How we call Erin Snow there? Honorable. What have they done that is honorable? Who call them honorable? We assign the titles to them, or Musa Belete, or whoever, we call them honorables. Right. So when you say that in the spiritual room, you let them establish authority over you. There is nothing honorable over them. So we should call these things as it is. But what I find out here is that we criticize this other wrong, we justify this other wrong because we are close to this person, or the person is our friend. So we are not really serious for to be consistent. So we have all this resisting, push and pull. So for me, it is the topic that we are discussing. If it's going to make impact, if it is actually, then even if we have 20 people, you guys are Christians. Jesus came and he had a lot of followers. Jesus had a lot of people that followed him. But what did he do? He chose 12. The 12 were able to change the world for Christ, right?
Yeah.
So it's not about the number. Because why were the 12? Because Jesus knew that the message that he had great substance. Message of life, redemption, or eternal life. He was able to impact those 12, and then they took the message.
I like the point. Dr. Booty, please give us your take on this. I'll be right back.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna give my take, and I think hopefully soon we yeah. But look, I think Mr. Tao, I agree with. I think it's because you've been away for a couple of weeks that I'm agreeing with the things that you're saying, right? So after today, maybe go away for 2 weeks again, then when you come out, be agreeing with everything. But look, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. I think the message is the message. I slightly disagree. I think sometimes, not maybe all the time, but sometimes we do provide solutions. I think when we talk to Liberian people and say, look, you are the guys that are struggling with what's going on in the country right now. You are the ones that need to stand up because it's your lives at risk. Those are solutions that we're offering. When you talk about changing the system of governance, when you're talking about removing, Mr. Koung will talk about the elite grab, or however he phrased it. To get rid of that, you need people. The Liberian people. Look, no system can change without the people. The people themselves have to stand up and change the system, right? If they don't do that, the means through which they do it, I don't know, but they have to come up with a way of changing the system. And when you propose, look, democracy is not working, let's have another system. I accept that, yeah, it hasn't worked, and that the loopholes in there are too many. We need to propose another system that the people can then lash onto and say, okay, look, yes, this system can work better for us. I think what we've seen from Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso is giving people cause for hope. We've seen it in Niger and in, I think, Mali as well, where these guys are coming coalescing around each other and they're doing positive things for their people. We're not advocating that in Liberia, but if that is one way that we can go to see fruits, as we're seeing in other countries, then unfortunately people have to consider those options, right? But look, I think some of the topics, a lot of the topics that we bring on here are great. I think numbers are good, but I think more importantly, if we speak to 5 people every day and those 5 people speak to another 5 and then they speak to another 5, the message goes out, right? So it doesn't have to be that you can have 10,000 people listening now and all of them just don't pick up anything you say, it just goes over their head. What's the point of having 10,000 people? There's no impact. So I agree with you on that point. I think numbers is not what we should be looking at. I think the quality of the topics the quality of the suggestions and solutions that we're proposing, but the ability to, I think, from time to time, I'll just make this point because recently, I've been doing the show on a Thursday with Dennis on Kia FM, and a couple of weeks ago there was a Liberian lady that he brought on called Belfina, and she came in, new idea, new energy, and like, wow, all of us are like, whoa, this is what we need. And I think from time to time we need to try and invite other voices onto the show to come and bring new perspectives, right? I think having Mr. Gongo today was great. He talked about one of the things I've been pushing for is educating our people to be able to understand their powers, right? To change what's happening. And I think when he framed it in the sense that, look, our people basically accept mediocrity, I sit there and think, oh, yeah. So now you have to go back to the drawing board and think, okay, how do we get them to learn that they have power, right? When they basically accept mediocrity, right? So, but those are the kind of things you want to see more of when, you bring new perspectives and new ideas. But yeah, I think we're doing a good job. And the numbers we shouldn't worry about. I think, yeah, the right people will come, and the right people come to listen to the right thing.
Excellent. Okay. Gongo, we're glad you're back. You want to weigh in on this?
Since I was not here, I'm lost. Since I was not here when the topic was introduced, what was that?
Well, we noticed that some media outlets, I mean, they went from 50 to 2,500 in 1 week, and we noticed. Well, so what are we not doing? Do we need to start bringing more celebrities on, and and maybe government officials or something that would boost our viewership?
Here's what I'll say. FOL, to be honest with you, FOL is a very professional platform. I've been on FOL for some time. I watched the Thursday show, like the bully was talking about here. The folks who come here, FOL, they give quality information. I've been on all the platforms and I follow all the platforms. The reason why, because our country is at that developmental stage, the thing that attracts listeners are not the way the guys on FOL will approach information. Negative news, trash talking is what is driving social media, right? And FOL is not into trash talking and negative talking. They are into talking things based on facts. They are giving historical facts and academic research findings. So the approach is more professional, and I should say that. Because of that, maybe you tend to bore the weak minds. So these guys read with our book talk. I mean, I don't want to say I have answer to why, but in my layman thinking, I think it could be a combination of factors. But I think one of them could just be the fact that we're not trash talking people. We're giving facts, and that's not people want. People want here the bashing of CDC immunity party. You don't see that on FOL, right? That's why some of them, because I go on other platforms, like I'm a panelist on closing argument. In fact, from here, I might join. I see them coming on. I might join them to go talk some stuff there. But when you bring this whole CDC Unity Party, trade off, it attract a lot of people, and to be honest with you, this is utter nonsense. I've made a point many times that we are where we are. If you look at all of the indicators, the human development indicators, you look at the economic indicators, whether it's GDP growth, you look at unemployment, and all these indicators, you look at it and you track it, the continuum, how it's changed over time in post-war constitutional democracy in Liberia from 2006 up to present. If we dip maybe 2% below, we'll come on 1%, maybe the change, it has not gone maybe past the 5%. over the course of 20 plus years. You know why? In my opinion, it is because of the governance philosophy of Unity Party and the CDC. So I'm one of the leading proponents, advocates for third party option. That we're dealing with people who have no new ideas. No, these parties already have a template. We praise Bwaka all of the sudden. Oh, Bwaka said this job is men's job, it's not boys' job. He's following the We Are template. He's never had press conference. He never addressed the press. We Are did the same thing. Minister of State hire without following the civil servant procedure. We Are did it. He's doing it too. I mean, bring in people you can fire. RI, how a president life is in danger. You don't step out, and before you reach a mansion, you call the Minister of State and say, the entire management team RI is gone before I reach a mansion. The press release should be out. Why you don't do that? Because family connections, cronies. So it is a same CDC Unity Party template. These guys are bad for the country. Liberia is, you go Google, Liberia is considered, there are two words we use on Liberia: failed state, fragile state. We continue to be classified as fragile state because of Unity Party and CDC. They've not made any positive swift, in a qualitative way to say we are 5% above or 10% above this indicator pre-war, or post-war. No, we've not done that. It's because of two of them. Let's do away with them. And that's my argument. When I go on closing argument, that's what I say. When I go on Facebook, that's what I say. We are failed state, we are fragile state because of Citizen Unity Party.
Well, gentlemen, we've come to the end of our program today. I really learned a lot from you guys, and I have appreciated the time we spent together. I want to give you guys each 30 seconds or so to make a closing. Let's go around the room. Mr. Tao.
Yes, to my fellow panelists, I'm glad to be here with you today, and to our viewers, thanks for coming, and we look forward to you coming next Sunday. Every time we come here, all of the discussion, no matter what direction we move in, for me, historically and based on evidence, is all in point in the same direction. We are using a false prescription to direct ourselves. The colonial era system that was set up was never meant to work for us. And when we took over, and not let anybody lie to that Liberia was not colonized, Liberia was colonized. You have the American Colonization Society, the Africans that came there, they were colonized. Once a different way of doing things were brought into a land that was never there, that's colonization. And that is what we are struggling with. And we hold on to this so much for us to question it and dismantle it. In every society, in every group, don't let nobody tell you that your own culture is primitive and theirs is civilized. No, civilization exists everywhere. We're trying to go and run our family based on these people. They want to come and tell about children. Look at the children here. And look at our children when we are all growing up, gentlemen. The children from the interior, they were the most respectful. They were the most dependable. They were the most hardworking. That's the value system of the African individual. Strictly from our culture. When we who came from Monrovia, they were afraid of us. Were stubborn, were hard-headed, were cocky, were cheeky. Because why? We're being introduced to the Western lifestyle. My plea here is that let us have this discussion forming. Some of us who say we are professionals, we know how to do nation building. Let us look from within our own society, from our culture. Let's draw out the things that can be useful. And the ones that are not useful, let's leave them. Let's look at the Western system they gave us. There is no justice in there. They say go to court, you have justice, but you have to have money. So if you don't have money, you can't get justice. How do we accept that kind of justice system? When they say go ahead and try to be a leader, it's not about what you have done for you to prove something. It's about how popular you are, how much money you can raise. That is why it's corrupt. In the African leadership stuff, you are cultivated from the time that you are young, and you prove yourself over time, and you go through all the stages of holding this position, holding that position before you arrive at that top. At that point, you are proven you actually love your people and you know what you are doing. You take the president, you hand it to Weah. Weah have not even cleaned his own boots before when he was playing football. What do you think he would do to the country? What will he do to the country? He has not even sat down for him to read one book. Oh, you are telling me that he's going to read a bill for him to know what's in it. This is the delusion that we have. So the system is not going to work for us. We need to question it. We need to do away with it by whatever means. Please, I'm begging you guys, let us start looking at things from the perspective.
Okay, Dr. Booty.
They fell 30 seconds at our yes, so that's
I know, right?
Wow. That only time 30 seconds. No, but to be honest, yeah, I agree with most of the things you said. I think we, as Liberians in the diaspora and Liberians back home who are interested in progressing the country, I think we need to come together, meeting of the minds, to come up with a new way of doing things. The system as it is, yes, it's not working. I don't know what system we can put in place to remedy that. But when we come together, when we have these conversations, I'm sure we can develop them. Once again, another great show, and like Mr. Koung said, and I agree with. We are here to provide. There is no complete objectivity, right? But some objectivity where we can put on what we, even though we do provide our own subjective viewing of the issues, but we do it in a way that has a little bit of objectivity, which other outlets are not doing. And again, those of you who live in the US, Fox News get a lot of people because the kind of things they want truth and the kind of way that they spit the information, and those are the kind of things that people eat up. People like drama. And maybe they want Mr. Tower myself to be causing each other every week. So, before they kind of say, oh, they're going for a deal. So that's going to listen, and that's basically what it is. But look, we'll keep doing what we're doing, but we need to start putting some concrete actions together. Like Mr. Gongo said, and I've been saying this before, this 20 years hegemony of the CDC/Unity Party has to end. We can't let it go beyond this term in office, right? They're there now. We can't do anything about it. But we have to make sure that there is a strong alternative third party, new blood that can come and try something different. If they fail as well, at least we can say we try something different, But yeah, we can't allow CDC or Unity Party to continue. But look, great show. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to go off now because, I've waited almost 12 o'clock on my side. And,
I know.
You guys next Sunday.
You're in jolly old England.
All right.
Hey, Professor.
Where is Dr. Bullet? Which state is he in?
He's in England.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
Anyway, great show. I'm happy to be back. I used to be here with Gildan once in a while. The unapologetic CDC or sedition. Now I think he's unapologetic CMC. So he actually will come actually today. Unfortunately, something happened, he didn't come. But I think, like I said, we cover a lot of great topics, and I think some of what we say here are things that are helpful for the country. If our leaders could take time and watch and follow FOL, I mean, basically they'll learn a lot of stuff. Tough Talking Thursday, Friday night debate, On Point. I mean, they will learn a lot. There are a lot we say here. Like I think there's the one that Gabriel runs, which is business and economy or something.
Yeah.
I follow that sometimes. They also
FOL Marketplace.
They explore a lot of, they give lots and lots of information, So and when you look at the past show and see how many persons have viewed that, the number can be staggering big. Okay, so it may not be right away to follow us. And I think part of the challenge I have, like I have more than 5,000 people following me on Facebook. When I get on here, I was just trying to see if I could share it on Facebook. I don't have that means. I don't know how to do it. Maybe if I know how to do it, every time we just share on Facebook and people will follow me, because many people tend, some people, I don't know whether they admire what I say and how I say it, or they just want for us to get in debate. When I make some posts, sometimes I'm surprised I'm getting more than 100 comments, and
I will show you how to share it soon. We finish this for
yeah,
show.
so show me how to share it. I will share or keep sharing if I want to share what somebody, because I really want my followers in Nimba
see this one
to hear some of the analysis I made tonight. So so I think like I said, FOL is a very great platform. We dig out the issues in a professional manner, no cursing, no falsehood. I mean, I think we keep doing what we're doing. And I think sooner or later, like FOL is now on Kia Radio, right? I'm sure sooner or later another radio station might pick up FOL. But FOL is really a wonderful platform. I watched last Thursday show and I was like, wow, this is wonderful. It's fantastic. And Dennis Jar is also good at the craft,
Yeah.
So I think I can compare the approach of FOL with some of the online channel that I've seen in Nigeria. I mean, the presentation is professional, So I think we should just continue it.
Yeah.
Usman, can I say something real quick? Just
go ahead.
Yeah, just like what Gonglo just said here. I follow many other platforms, like just watching them before I joined FOL. And I almost couldn't watch those other platforms. They come there, everything is disjointed. They crack jokes all over the place. Nothing is really tackled in a way where it's like you're moving in a direction with the discussion. So I followed FOL for a while. So yet it's a very good platform. It's a very good platform. You don't see FOL bringing somebody there intentionally to use the platform just to run for election. You don't see that. I see it on the other channel because FOL try to just create a broad-based area. You come in and the people that they bring on, we actually discuss the topic. And that's what I really like about FOL.
No, FOL is very professional. I give it to FOL. I can tell you that.
All right. So we're going to wrap it up here. Hang on a little bit, Kabla. And as we always say in our closing song, at the end of the day, we're all Liberians. So let's have one unity, one goal, and that is to push Liberia where it's supposed to go.
We are Liberians.